Hello and welcome back to the FPL Tom YouTube channel. It's been a while since me and Jake have been together, but you know, over the international break, I feel we missed each other and just wanted that bond back to talk about FPL, of course, answer people's questions and, you know, just come up with whatever wacky stuff comes usually out of our mouths. But go for it, mate. I just needed to mute my laptop because already the unprofessionalism flying through the roof as always on these streams. How are you doing, mate? You doing good?
I'm good, yeah, but I feel like it's that feeling where you have that conversation with your girlfriend
Mm.
of, do we have a hall pass? Is there a celebrity that you would cheat on me with and that you'd be acceptant of? And I feel like since we've last spoken,
Hmm.
you've had that hall pass with FPL therapy.
Well, I feel, you know, it was always going to happen. I was always going to cheat on you at some point. I've just,
I was always just holding you back. Like here I am, the housewife. You're there going raking the money. Of course you're going to go for that big celeb.
I was just like, you know what, I just feel like cheating on Jake. He's just not been the same guy, really. You know what I mean? So I just
How was it
fancied it.
anyway?
Oh mate, it was genuinely class compared to the setup I'm looking at right in front of me now, which is like a dodgy tripod holding together a light. Compared to what was in that studio, miles. Just it's
I
just
feel like I
nice.
feel like you do yourself a little bit of a disservice because you're a one-man band
Yeah,
for
yeah,
your
yeah.
team. So I do understand that. It's not like you where I am with a computer stacked upon a book, a shoebox and four catalogs. Whereas at least he will have guests on, etc., etc. So if that were to be something that you'd do down the line, I'm sure you'd be able to follow suit. But no, your setup is very professional,
Hmm.
and it's nice that you give the normalies of the world a little bit of airtime.
Oh, lad, this is what I prefer, though. To be honest, it was too serious. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
This,
it was too good.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It was well put together. You know what I mean? This is just dribble for about an hour and a half.
Yeah, yeah. This is like it's like the what do you call it when you're having like a mic test, like testing, testing, like it's all like the rehearsals and like the tech rehearsal before a big show.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We're like the warm up. You know when you like go and watch a comedian, they'll have someone on before. They're not
Whilst
as
everyone's
good.
still queuing up to
Yeah, yeah.
get.
Everyone's still queuing up to get in. We're like that. You know what I mean? There's the big shiny podcasts out there. What we're actually waiting for is kind of we're just your warm up, really. We're like foreplay. That's how I
Yeah,
describe
I'd
us.
like to think with that warm up that people that do manage to get in on
Mm.
time go, you know what? They're actually quite entertaining
Yeah,
them.
yeah. They're up one day. They'll have a pretty big show, hopefully.
One day I could see they were a good duo, but I think that guy with the fucking little noodle perm, he's gonna have to dump that fucking run to the little one day.
Well, I hope everybody enjoyed our little ramble there. Who've we got in
This
the
is the
chat?
first time we've spoken since our last stream. That's the only
No,
time.
no, no, it isn't. You rang me yesterday. You rang me yesterday. Don't give me this.
It was a bit, mate. It was a bit. It was a joke, but
Oh, oh, right, yeah, yeah. Sorry, mate. Sorry, I didn't. I'm not quick enough. I'm not quick enough sometimes. We've got Andy in the chat. We've got Jamie in the chat as well. We're not going to be doing team reviews in this one. That will be done on the deadline stream on Saturday. We've already got loads of questions, so you know what? We'll have a quick go through some questions. Then we'll obviously delve into our teams, how they're looking from game week 7, look towards our transfers for game week 8, and of course give you guys the best data you need ahead of this game week. Any news on Saka? I don't think we're going to get anything from Arteta, but it does look like he's going to be fine for this weekend. So unless we hear anything else, I would probably say keep Saka for one more week, to be honest.
well, hopefully for myself, Adam's right in the chat.
Yeah. What do you think about Wood in and Havertz out? I probably would say if Havertz is fine for this weekend, I'd still have Havertz for one more week.
The Forest fixtures look quite nice.
Yeah, they are pretty decent afterwards, but who've they got? They've got Palace, Leicester, West Ham, Newcastle, Arsenal, Ipswich. So it is a pretty decent run. But I think I still would want. I think Kai Havertz has probably gone a little bit under the radar. I was somebody that was kind of giving him a little bit of stick at the start of the season, but he's actually been cooking.
Yeah, no, he has. He's been very solid, to be fair, very consistent,
Mm.
and you can rely on him as long as he's fit, being in the team, whether it is in midfield or up front.
Yeah,
And he
agreed.
was back to midfield, wasn't he, last weekend? And he still scored, didn't he?
Yeah, yeah. Adam said Saka out for 2 weeks. Apparently, where did you see that? Because the last I heard, he was fine. But if anybody else has got any information, let me know. FPL Meerkat in the chat as well. FPL Shane in the chat. He says, "Morning guys, caught up on the Raptor pod, was really good. Thank you very much for that one, man. If anybody hasn't gone and checked that out, I'm sure one of the moderators will put it in the chat. I did feature on FPL Raptors FPL Therapy podcast, which was just unreal compared to this. No offense, lad, but you know what I mean.
None taken, mate. I watched it and was like, "Fuck me, this is you're getting closer and closer to the big time, my friend."
It was like it was just a different world. It was a different world. They had a producer. Where's our producer? You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, we do this for the local community, don't we?
Yeah.
Charity work.
Right, we will answer some more of your guys' questions throughout today's stream. There is also a poll kicking around for the best captain for this game week, so do get that in. But of course, we are going to start off first with Jake's team. So give us, lad, a very, very quick overview of how game week 7 went, because obviously I am aware that it was a long, long time ago, and people probably don't want to hear about it. But I'll let you talk you through a pretty good week. 55 points in the end, 3 million rank. Talk to me. What went well? What didn't go so well?
All right. Well, I think the main thing that went well is that I held on to my wild card for a week because I was definitely considering it, and I think before the game week actually commenced, I would have been wise to consider it as well, and I think you would have supported that because it didn't look great.
No.
And even now, I've taken off my hot head of bragging because when I looked at it at the end of the weekend, I went, you know what? I've got 55, but Pickford's had a masterclass in any other game. Gordon slots a penalty away. Justin really shouldn't have kept a clean sheet. So there's 15 points. You take that away, you're on 30. I've had a bit of a dire week, so I will have to thank the gods for this week, I must say. There is somewhat luck in this game, but I think I took the piss a little bit with riding my luck. So, I mean, you've got to have the players in to get lucky. So it's worked out for me, but I'm counting my blessings a little bit because I don't think something that fortunate will come about all that often. I think you do still have to be a bit more sensible. And don't get me wrong, Justin was a sensible transfer in for the money I had, for the fixtures that they have, and for the fact that I don't think it's a long-term solution. I do feel like a wild card will be coming in the next couple of months, let's say at the very least. Definitely before the December fest. So yeah, Justin and Pickford definitely saved my week. Haaland having a quiet one definitely helped because I decided for whatever reasons go for Gabriel. I think it makes a little bit of sense because I thought he'd keep a clean sheet. He didn't. Only got the 4. I think a lot of people went for Haaland, of course, and if people went for Salah instead, he only got 3 points. So it's not hit me too hard. I think the biggest winners this week would have been those that will have Captain Havertz, which at least I had him in my team. Carvalho, once again, counting my blessings, he came off the bench and scored.
Did you see his goal as well?
Yeah. Well, they all count.
Hey,
All
lad, they do.
talk them at the same time. The rest of the team, nothing to talk really about. Definitely worth keeping an eye on the City defence, I think, because Guardiola's a fair chunk of the money. And I know he's scored a goal in the last couple of weeks, but they are conceding every single game, it seems. And I'm just thinking maybe there are better options in the future. Maybe when I consider my wild card, I don't think it's something I'll consider over the next few weeks. Whilst there are more important places to invest in. But yeah, long story short, a very good score for what really shouldn't have been so high, but I will take it.
Hey, lad, you got lucky, but sometimes that's all FPL's about, isn't it, really?
Exactly.
So, you know what? Fair play to you, mate. I was telling you to go for 8 Nori over Justin. And
I mean, like, as much as we were arguing that, Ait Nori got 9 points and conceded 5 goals.
Yeah, I know. It's absolutely wild, that, honestly. But fair play for Justin. I wasn't keen on it, but it's worked out, so fair play, mate. Let's move on to how your team is looking ahead of this game week. And you know what, pal? It looks in pretty good shape. I know you were asking me about potentially wildcarding this week, but I don't know. Apart from the bench, which is obviously starting to cause quite a few issues, there is a few duds on the bench. But the starting 11, as long as Havertz is fine, I don't necessarily think you could wildcard out of that. I don't think there's anybody really missing this week that I think is going to probably hurt your rank too much.
No, no, I'd agree with that. I like my back five. Of course, we've mentioned the Gvardiol issue, but really against Wolves, that should be one of the few teams that you should be confident City will keep a clean sheet against.
Yeah.
But who knows? Because Wolves, even though they're pretty diabolical defensively, they do seem to have a little bit going about themselves attacking wise. So I can't really bank on that either way. Um, and yeah, the rest of the six players in midfield and up front, respectively, they all have decent fixtures on paper. Um, my bench, like you say, not looking great. Carvalho, ever since I brought him in, he's got an assist in the goal and maybe an accumulation of 90 minutes first team football. Like he hasn't finished a game he started. And of course, against Wolves, he came off the bench with about 20 minutes to go and slotted a goal from must have been like 40, 50 yards out. But yeah, he's someone that I'm not too fussed about. We spoke about that earlier. Like for the price tag he is, he's not a bad shout on the bench, and he's clearly popping up and being a bit of a menace when he does play, which would suggest he's going to push himself to be a first teamer. Um, Lewis Diaz, Ben Brereton Diaz has not been anywhere near as potent as the statistics were suggesting he would be at the start of the season,
Yeah.
which is a bit of a shame because it was a punt that I thought would be worthwhile. And it's got to the point now where he's at home to Leicester, a team you'd really back Southampton against, and I'm benching him. More to the point, I've got Justin on the in defence. Maybe that's something where I should give him one last hurrah. Bench Justin for Ben Brereton. I would be open to that suggestion,
No.
considering I think he's someone that's going to leave my team this next week.
Mm-hmm.
Bonza just rotting away on the bench. So I think my plan, unless I do go for Ben Brereton over Justin, is to bank my transfers at the very least.
Yeah.
So that next week I can bring in 8 Nori for Kwanzaa and take out Ben Brereton Diaz. I think, like you mentioned, for Dibbling.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. I think
Just to push for a few more weeks before we consider a wild card.
So if you only got one transfer this week, you haven't got any roll
Yeah.
over. Okay. Okay. That's not bad. Are you maybe tempted to take somebody like Eze out? Forest away. Forest have been pretty good defensively so far this season. I think they're sat third for expected goals conceded. Are you tempted maybe with some of the Spurs boys, or Brennan Johnson, 7 in 7 at the moment?
Yeah, Brendan Johnson's been in fire in great form, and West Ham don't look necessarily secure either
No.
up front or defensively. They look a bit like the Ipswich game is a weird one. I don't really know what to take from that because Ipswich have had a decent start. They've been valiant, but they've still not won a game. And West Ham just ended up showing that they are still Prem quality of some sort. But I think that is going to be a massive mismatch, that London derby. I think Spurs will put a few goals past them. So having a Spurs attacker will probably be a benefit.
Mm-hmm.
I think if I had to put my money on it, I do think the likes of Brennan Johnson. Well, I would definitely say the likes of Brennan Johnson and Madison, let's say,
Yeah.
will score more points than Eze if I had to back it. But I think for the greater good, for the long run, I think even if Spurs are going to do well, even if I am going to go for a Spurs man, I'd like to have those two transfers next week.
Okay. What if Havertz is out? What if we find out Havertz is going to miss the game at the weekend? Would you be tempted just to make that switch to Dominic Solanke, or at that point do you think maybe the wild card would go active?
No, I think the wild card won't happen this week because the team's base spine is looking fine.
Hmm.
But I think if I'm forced or if I decide to make a transfer this week so that I'm back to square one next week where I'm only allowed one transfer, that's when I would be tempted to make that wild card. Um, I think I'd take use the transfer this week. Like you say, a Spurs asset would be very good this week. And then next week we'll probably consider that wild card.
Okay. Okay. All right. In terms of captaincy, I have placed it on Erling Haaland. Is there anybody else running through your mind, maybe that you have in your team or that you don't have in your team that could be a decent captaincy option for this week?
I mean, I haven't thought about it too much with Spurs, but I do think they've got a very good chance of getting a few goals against West Ham. And of course, Brendan Johnson is the guy you'd look no further, really. Is Son out?
No, apparently Son's been back in training, so yeah.
Yeah, it's a tricky one, that one, because I don't like because they looked really good against Brighton in the first half, and if it stayed 2-0, maybe they wouldn't be chucking him back in. But after that collapse, you might. It's interesting because they might want to throw him back in so they don't bottle it again, or they might want to save him so that he doesn't get risked in injury. So
Mhm.
it's I think it might be a bit too early to tell with him, but yeah, I think someone like Johnson or even Madison would be a good call. Don't fancy Werner whatsoever.
No, no.
Solanke, if you wanted to back him, fair enough. Um, but for me, I'm actually torn between Haaland and Salah because I do well, Salah's just got a good record against the top sides. He's got a good record against Chelsea. Haaland, though, as much as I've got it on my phone that Salah's the captain, Haaland against Wolves, does it get much better than that?
I think probably the only ones that it will get better at is somebody like an Ipswich at home who's obviously already played and stuff like that. Interestingly, Haaland's last two games, he's not picked up a single big chance in either of those. Do you reckon that continues, or do you reckon he will be back to his best? Two
I
blanks in a
reckon he
row.
might be back. I don't know if you did you keep an eye on the Norway games because I'm pretty sure I saw a picture of him.
Oh, he scored a hat trick in one of them. I know that.
Yeah, and he scored twice against Serbia.
Yeah,
Slovenia. Yeah, so like he clearly hasn't forgotten where the goal is whilst he's been away. If anything, he's found that back of the net again after a little quiet spell for him, which is unlike him. But yeah, I mean it's really tricky because Salah's got a good record against Chelsea, but it's a difficult game to call because Liverpool have looked quite astute in defence,
mm.
whereas Chelsea have been a bit mixed. But you can definitely see there's been some kind of improvement at Chelsea. So I don't think it'll be quite the comfortable win that it has been in the previous few seasons, maybe, um, especially at Anfield. And then Haaland, I just feel like if I don't back him and he gets a hat trick, I will look like a right numpty. Whereas at least in another game, if you captain Haaland and Salah's the one that gets the hat trick, you don't look quite so daft because no one would have seen that coming.
Yeah. Interestingly, if Haaland blanks say for the next two, do you reckon he comes out of your team?
I don't know, mate. I really don't know. I think I'd have to meet that when it comes to it. But I mean, I had Haaland from day one.
Mm-hmm.
I think.
You did. You did. You did.
um, and it's paid off. So maybe I'll be a bit more stubborn and give him a few more weeks because he has paid off when a lot of people had no faith in him.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. All right.
I think Salah would be someone that if he went stale a couple more game weeks, that I'd be more inclined to maybe go down to Luis Diaz or someone. But would have to play that by ear.
Yeah. 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 Would you not be tempted with somebody like a Palmer, maybe?
Yeah,
Obviously, he's
yeah, I
been
would.
he's
No, I
been
would.
flying.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. All right, lad. Any final thoughts on your team?
No, be interesting to see what's going on with Havertz. I think that will decide whether I do take the hit this week and then wild card next week. If he turns out to be all right, I think I'll stick with what I've got. Justin or Ben Brereton, what are you saying?
Yeah, 100%.
What are you saying?
I go with Justin, mate. I don't
Yeah,
think I don't think Ben will play, and Justin's just been slamming in goals and assists for fun,
yeah,
hasn't he?
that's true. All right, cool. Well, I think my team's in lock then.
All right.
Bit boring from me, really, isn't it?
Okay. All right. Well, it could get even boringer from me, to be honest. Let's head on over to my points, and it's going to be grim reading. It really is going to be grim reading. This is genuinely the worst start I've ever had playing FPL, and you know me, lad. We've played FPL like since probably first year in uni. I've never ever stunk it up this much at a start of a season. Absolutely honking, to be honest. And to be honest, I didn't have that bad a game week if everybody at the back managed to either start the game or finish the game off. So Robertson obviously coming off, that's disappointing. We've lost out on 5 points there. Konza's hamstring going ping. Again, they went on to keep a clean sheet. Originally, I had Mikolenko in, and just to rub salt into the wounds, Everton kept a clean sheet in that game as well. So we could have been on for a nice steady green arrow. We could have been back to winning ways, but it wasn't meant to be. In terms of Haaland captaincy, yeah, didn't really pay off. Everybody else, Vardy, Calvert-Lewin, stinking the side up really. So yeah, it's not a great game week, to be honest, and it kind of continues the trend of just a really, really poor start to the season. But hopefully I can get some of your luck and steal a little bit off you this week. That's what I'm hoping for anyway.
Well, Saka being fit would be one step in the right direction, wouldn't it, for you?
It would. But, as we'll come on to see, I don't really want to spend too long looking at this heap of crap. Where's it gone? There it is. Let me put that there, move you back there, and move on to this slide. As you can see, this is how I'm lining up for this week. So obviously I do have Saka, Mikolenko, and Konza flagged at the moment. But if everybody's fit and dandy, I think potentially we could roll again. And that would mean I'd then have 4 free transfers to take into the following week. Wow. Currently, I've got 3. And if I was to make a transfer this week, I think the players that could be coming out are, of course, Saka if he's not fit and available. Robertson, because he was dropped and Liverpool's fixtures do start to fall away. And I will be tempted with somebody like a Rico Lewis or an Ait-Nouri. Again, frees up even more funds to maybe upgrade one of the strikers as well if they continue to blank. And then in terms of the other ones, we could do Konza to maybe Anderson from Fulham because they've got a pretty decent run. Or I could go for Ait-Nouri and just hope for the best and play him against City. But yeah, that's how the team's looking. It doesn't actually look in that bad shape, to be honest.
No, it doesn't. So you've got 3 at the moment.
I've got 3 free transfers, yeah.
If you did 2, would you keep the other one?
Yeah.
That's good to know. I mean, I say that like I can control myself to hold on that many weeks.
Yeah.
No, it is looking good. It's just all pixels on my phone.
Get those games on.
It does look good. Yeah, you just got to hope. Hopefully, Saka's fit. That'll definitely go in your favour. Mm-hmm. Vardy and Calvert-Lewin, it's almost like a last dance for them then, technically.
It really is, but the fixtures are still good afterwards. That's the problem. They just
it's a last dance month. Yeah, and then everyone else has got a good set of fixtures. You've gone Haaland. Are you of the same opinion where like you can't really look elsewhere?
I think you could look elsewhere, but I feel this
not
week...
feel like a right mong.
I
can't say that, but like, would you just feel like proper daft if you didn't captain him?
A little bit. I would a little bit. I probably would, but I feel when you're paying the big bucks for him and he has got the decent fixtures, you have to be captaining him. And we'll come on to look at predicted points in a little bit, and of course head-to-head records because we absolutely love and adore that. We will come on to see that he is one of the best captaincy options for this week. But interestingly, on Fantasy Football Hub's predicted points model, it actually has Salah top only by 0.1 point, but Salah top with 8.3 this week. 8.3 with Salah, 8.2 with Haaland. So yeah. But yeah, if this was your team, lad, you've got 3 free transfers. What are you doing? Are you rolling? Are you taking 4, or are you dicing around? Are you mixing it up a bit?
I think you're all right. I think you've held on that long, and I think if Saka's all right, I think it is worth just holding for one more week. But then if it turns out he's in the mud, I think that's the thing. You can just very easily switch him out, and you've still got 3 transfers next week, so it's not the end of the world, and then you can afford a Brennan Johnson.
Yeah, well, what I could do with Saka, interestingly, I've got 2 things I could do with him. So I could drop Robbo down to Rico Lewis and upgrade Saka to Palmer. Now, I know he's got a difficult fixture this week, but then it's Newcastle and United afterwards, which is pretty decent on paper. I could take a gamble on Phil Foden, straight for Saka, or I could take a gamble on Son as well for Saka. Because I do think that's the way that this game's going to go. Is it is going to be like a free premium structure, and you just rotate around them all. So Haaland, Salah, Saka, Palmer, Foden, Son. I think that's the way the game's going to go. But
Yeah, no, I understand all those moves. They make sense. You've got the luxury though of the games being a little bit difficult, like you say, for the likes of Parma. So you can have that week to stew on it if you wanted to, but at the same time, you've also got the luxury of being able to just splash it out if that's what your plan is. And things like Palmer don't go to plan. Well, if you're taking him, putting him in for an injured Saka, he's clearly going to get you. Well, you'd imagine he'd get a couple of points at least on the board, but it's nothing to judge him by because the following fixtures should be in your favour.
yeah, I think as well, if I got to 4 free transfers, I could completely change this side. You know what I mean? Because come next week, let's say Spurs lose, nobody wants their assets. Palmer absolutely cooks against Liverpool and he's the hottest property. I can very easily just snap my fingers and go and get him. Where most people have got to rip the teams apart a little bit.
Yeah, I don't think if he does that, I am going to revolt and not have him in my team ever.
But yeah, I think the other problem players are, of course, Jamie Vardy and Calvert-Lewin as well. Like they do have good long-term fixtures, but it's just like, what do I do with them? Because I can't keep having blanking players in the team.
I think Calvert-Lewin can last a little bit longer. Just because in any game he's a bit like Pickford with Everton. Calvert-Lewin can score against anyone,
Yeah.
and I'm not saying Vardy can't. I'm just saying Leicester City will struggle a little bit more because Everton clearly make the chances. Calvert-Lewin will spoon a lot more chances. Will spurn a lot more chances than Vardy.
Yeah.
Vardy's probably he is more clinical. He just doesn't have the support as much anymore, and probably doesn't have the legs anymore,
True.
and so will not have the game time as much. Whereas Calvert-Lewin will score some of the chances because he will get more opportunities than Vardy and he'll get more game time. So I think Calvert-Lewin isn't the issue. Vardy's technically not the issue. There are other places for you to focus on. But when it gets to it, I'd probably say Vardy's out first.
Yeah, yeah. I think Kevin Schade also an issue I've got to deal with because he's been terrible.
Who, sorry?
Kevin Schade, who sat third sub on my bench.
Yeah, you know who you could have had?
Who could I have had?
You could have had our Fabio Carvalho.
I could have had Fabio Carvalho, and it has worked. I think Schade has played more minutes as well. That's the frustrating thing.
Yeah, it's just sod's law, that. Sod's law, indeed.
Yeah, I think that's kind of been the story of the season, really. Any 50-50 I've gone for this year, it's not worked out. So, but hopefully we're back. Hopefully the luck's coming back. We're in good vibes for the nice little winter arc. You know what I mean? We're cooking. The only other player I was thinking about and wanted to ask your opinion on is Raul Jimenez.
All right. What's their fixture on like? Is it still looking good?
It's come back. It's looking good. You know, it's looking pretty tasty. They got Villa this week.
Say that like they didn't just mint City apart.
Exactly.
Adama failing to score.
They've got Villa at home, so you know they're the home team.
Villa.
Yeah. Everton away, Brentford, Palace, Wolves.
I don't hate it, Tom.
That's a good. You know what? I reckon I give Vardy and Calvert-Lewin one more week, and then maybe Raul comes in.
Because you could do Lewis for Mikalenko, 8 Nori for Konsa.
Yeah.
And then it depends on how Saka's doing, really, because as much as you could do Saka to Palmer, but then you could do Saka to Palmer, or you could do Saka to Johnson. And then over the next couple of weeks, you could always bring in Jimenez and say Solanke.
Yeah.
Although I don't know if you'd want to do double Spurs.
No, I don't think I would probably do double Spurs attack.
You'd want to do triple Spurs.
Yeah. That's the correct way to go. But yeah, I just wanted someone else just to sound out the Raul Jimenez pick because I feel he's looked really good, hasn't he?
Yeah.
No to Fulham attack. Robinson is the best Fulham pick. He is decent.
I disagree with that. You know, I'm not gonna lie. I think they concede too many goals.
They've been better, you know. They've been better in the old
They
XG
have,
conceded.
No, and I'm not saying Robinson's a bad pick. I'm just saying he's not the best.
You know who I'd prefer?
Jimenez is arguably no. I'd say Smith Rowe is probably the best.
He got benched in the City game.
There must be a reason behind it because whenever he's played, he's been a proper menace.
Yeah, I mean Adama's been pretty decent as well.
He just needs to bloody finish.
Yeah, he's right up there for expected goal involvement this season. So maybe he's the Kevin Schade replacement. We just go and get Adama in.
I mean, if he does, yeah, he's clearly got the ability. I can't believe he's only 28. He's been around for years.
Yeah. He's just been playing ball for ages, hasn't he?
Yeah. Well, hopefully he can score a few because then that would be an exciting player to have in your fantasy team.
Very interesting. All right, let's answer some of your questions. I could get Haaland in for game week 9 for Salah as he has Arsenal away. The thing with Haaland, right, is his fixtures are decent for the next probably 3 to 4. After that, it's Tottenham, Liverpool, and again we start to enter into this busy Christmas period around game week 13 and beyond. I think I had a look at it yesterday. So from game week 12 to I think around game week 18, it's played over like just a month. They've also got 2 Champions League fixtures in there, and of course a Carabao Cup as well. So it's going to start to get to that point where it starts to get a little bit dicey for players like Haaland, for your rotation risk players that have Champions League football as well. So we probably want to be kind of looking at 90-minute men, solid 90-minute men that have good like games realistically, and I think that's probably the way to go. I don't know if you agree with that, lad.
No, I do. I do feel like Haaland though will still be a solid 90-minute man for a lot of the games.
They haven't got another forward, have they? So yeah.
Exactly, but I mean, the only thing would be is if he hasn't found the back of the net, but City have a few times. You'd imagine he'd get rested, but I can't see them scoring regularly 3 goals a game and him not being involved.
True. Andy's come up with some suggestions for my striker situation. He said Welbeck taking penalties and free kicks. Wood, yeah, Chris Wood looks a decent option. Strand Larson also at 5.5 could be a decent one. I am tempted with Cunha around game week 10 when the Wolves fixtures take a turn. He could also be a nice little saucy striker option that we could potentially go for if we free up a little bit of money. What do you think about the Wolves players?
First free kick of his career last game week.
What do you think about the Wolves players, lad? From game week, I would say probably 9 onwards after this City game.
Personally, I don't know enough about Strand Larson. All I would be tempted by would be Aït-Nouri and Cunha. And for me, I'd probably only really be tempted by Aït-Nouri.
Yeah. Okay. Someone just said my mic is quiet. Well, let's sort that out then. See what I mean? They didn't have this problem on Monday, did we? Producer just sorting that. Straight in the ball.
You're on mute the whole time.
Yeah, I've just been on mute. Everyone's just going... just felt like one of those mimes where it just like... should I bench ESR or Rodgers this week? So they're both playing against each other. Which way would you go with that one, lad?
I mean, I actually think Fulham will win that game.
I think Fulham will win that game. I'd probably go ESR.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Somebody said, who is the best 6 million forward? Who would you go for?
Oh, gosh. Let me just have a little look. If you want to say who you think yours is.
Well, I think we've kind of spoke about Big Raul, obviously being a little bit of a tasty boy. Strand Larson as well. Some people saying Delap in the chat. For me, I'm just not a Delap fan.
Mate, the lap isn't a bad shout. Everton at home, Brentford away, Leicester at home.
Yeah, but it's just Delap. He's just.
You've got Jamie Vardy.
Yeah, but he's just pants. I can't get over Delap. He's just pants.
I actually think he's had some tidy finishes. To be fair,
no, he's dusty. I'm telling you now, he's dusty. All right.
Whoever said the lap, I actually agree with. But, yeah, I don't think there's too much more. Cameron Archer, I just don't fancy Southampton at all.
Strand Larson obviously could be a decent shout as well for 5.5.
How many has he scored though? I feel like he scored. Oh, was he?
2 goals, I think Strand Larson scored so far this season. 1, 2.
Would you be tempted by him?
Nah, I feel like you go Calvert-Lewin because of the penalty appeal. There's not too much difference in price.
You know, looking at this list, there's only one man that comes out of it, and it's Liam Delap.
Let's not start this Liam Delap hype train. Let's get away from it now. You can be a big Liam Delap fan, but I'll happily sit on this fence and say I'm not a Liam Delap fan.
Well, that's not sitting on the fence. You're very much over the other side.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah. Jamie's just put in the chat. Delap's XG is trash. Yeah.
Yeah, but how many points has he got?
Well, this is it. This is it. But I don't think it's going to be like long-term returns.
Calvert-Lewin's XG must be fucking brilliant.
It is pretty good. It is pretty good.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not everything, especially with strikers down the bottom end of the table.
True. But I reckon, right, both Jamie Vardy and Calvert-Lewin score more than Delap this season.
As in, like, on their own?
Yeah.
I would agree with Calvert-Lewin because, like I say, he'll get the chances. Vardy, it's a tricky one. I think they both depend on how well the teams play. I think Leicester really should have the experience to stay up, but they're not really playing like they are. I think, like we've clarified, they were very lucky to get a win against Bournemouth. I do wonder whether all three teams are going to struggle this year that have come up. So yeah, I think that will just mostly come down to the teams. You know what I will give you? I'll say is Calvert-Lewin and Vardy. Well, Vardy will have a better XG. How would you do that? Okay, so I think Vardy will have a better conversion rate to his XG, if that makes sense. I do agree.
He's already on track to do that. Yeah.
Say again.
He's already on track to do that. He's barely putting up any XG, but just finishing his goals when he gets them.
Exactly. I'm not denying that Vardy's a better finisher, but I'm just saying Liam Delap is scoring with more goals. So at the moment, he definitely does look like a good asset to have with the fixtures on paper. I don't think that's a bad shout at all, especially if it's a short-term thing for 3 weeks, 4 weeks.
All right. Well, you're pro Delap, and I'm anti Delap.
Over the course of the season, mate, I completely agree with you, but I reckon over these next 3 weeks, he's got more of a chance to do something than Calvert-Lewin and Vardy do put together.
Okay.
I'm not putting. It's not worth us putting these like bloody bets out or whatever. We've done this like 3 times this season. We've not gone back to see who was right.
I think I won the other one. The first one, because it was Nkuku versus Willy Bolly, and Nkuku won by 1 point.
Willy Bolly, God! How silly we look now.
I know, yeah. The thing is, it was like a proper battle of the shitters. Someone put it in my stream. It was like 9 versus 8 points, and it was over the 5 game weeks as well. It was like, oh god,
I can't believe Bolly got 8 points.
Yeah, I know, it was absolute stink fest.
Oh
really.
No, that's so funny. I think there was one where I said that like Haaland would get more than Saka, Salah, Palmer, Ronaldo, and Messi put together.
Yeah.
Right.
Liam Delap can enter this long list of silly bets that we make. Apparently Raul Jimenez scored a really good free kick against USA, so I'm going to go watch that afterwards. I'm starting to feel a bit of Raul maybe in, you know what I mean? Just getting some feelers in, you know what I mean?
No, I'm not doing this. I'm not bringing the old me into this stream. The old me, right?
Yeah.
Would take out Ben Brereton for maybe a Brennan Johnson, which is sensible.
I like that. That's good.
Yeah. And then we'll go, I'm going to take a -4.
Yeah.
And I'm going to take Havertz out for Liam Delap just to prove a point. Because he's got this injury scare, which will be nothing, because by the time, tomorrow morning he'll be fine.
Oh, yeah.
We're just in the heat of the moment. I'll get the better of myself and do something silly like that.
Oh, well. You'll be fine.
But I'm not going to.
Good. Keep it all controlled. Yeah. That's what I like to see. Right, keep your questions coming in. We are going to plow on with the next section of today's stream. Of course, it is going to be the betting data from Rob T FPL. This is a really useful tool if you've obviously got some tight decisions around obviously players' projected goals and clean sheets and stuff like that. So make sure you're going over to Rob's Twitter and dropping him a cheeky little follow over on there. The top 2 teams for projected goals for this week are Manchester City and Spurs. So both looking very, very decent. Obviously, Haaland going to be the captain by most, so that bodes quite well. Of course, Spurs, though, not too far behind them in that early kickoff. Is that maybe just tempting you that little bit more to maybe bring in a Brennan Johnson?
If you hadn't told me one thing in that sentence, I might have been tempted.
Go on, what was that one thing?
Early kickoff.
They are the early kickoff. Yeah.
Although, to be fair, like we've clarified also, Gandhi's been on his holes this season, really.
He started to get a little bit more prolific as old Gandhi in the past few weeks with the early kickoffs. What was the last few? I think the last
I
two
think
games.
City drew, didn't they, against Newcastle?
Yeah, and Haaland blanked. So
I don't think that's massive. He's not really fucking.
that was
It's
a
not a
big one.
crazy one. He's dipped his toes in a little bit, but he's not gone mad.
I mean, the people that
West
went.
Ham winning this weekend will be Gandhi's well and truly back.
I mean, the people that went for Salah captain last week got shafted in the early kickoff.
Can't remember what game.
You won 1-0 against Palace.
Oh yeah.
So Gandhi was there. He was present.
No, usually he stops the favourite winning though. That's the big Gandhi.
No, but like the captain did nothing. You know what I mean? The captain.
Yeah. No, looking at that, it is really what Spurs' run like.
It's pretty decent, mate. It is pretty tasty. Let me just get it up 1 second. Sorry, just talk amongst yourselves, you know.
I do feel like if Havertz does seem to be more serious, and even if he misses just this one game, I think I might bite the bullet and go Solanke for Havertz, and then go a wild card next week.
Okay, well they've got West Ham, Palace, Villa, Ipswich.
Oh,
that's a good run. That's a very, very tasty run.
Yeah, it is. It is. Yep, Dom Solanke is looking more and more juicy by the second. I'm just ignoring the bench that I've got.
Yeah. You don't need a bench. It's overrated.
Exactly.
In terms of the other games that I would probably say are kind of standouts, Liverpool as well looking pretty decent this week for a win. Arsenal as well looking pretty good for their projected goal numbers. In terms of clean sheets, it's not a lot, is there? It's all kind of very iffy. You know what I mean? There's no one really standing out, to be honest, bar obviously City and Arsenal, and probably you can throw Spurs and Forest in there. After that,
I think Fulham Villa could be very easily a 0-0.
Yeah, I mean Palace Forest has got a 0-0 Monday night written all over it.
Southampton Leicester 0-0.
Oh yeah, Jamie Vardy's gonna miss every chance he gets.
And I'm gonna have 3 bonus for
James Justin. But yeah, it seems like a weird week, to be honest. It doesn't seem like there could be a lot of goals kicking about in the league. It doesn't seem like there's going to be a lot of clean sheets either.
I think Spurs West Ham's got a good potential for a good few goals. Ipswich Everton. Ipswich could win that game, or it could be 0-0.
True.
I mean, Everton could win, but I just feel like that is the type of game where they choke, or where it just kind of is a dead rubber.
Yeah.
Newcastle Brighton. It's weird because as much as Brighton have been at times, and they were fantastic against Spurs in that second half, Newcastle have just, feel like those predictions there, as much as Newcastle are edging it, just shows that Newcastle have kind of plateaued a little bit after all the hype they had when they got bought, etc.
Yeah.
Because they're not really showing up to like the potential that they really should be showing with all the quality they've got in their team.
Mm-hmm.
Arsenal should win comfortably, really, shouldn't they? Liverpool-Chelsea, maybe that's just my Liverpool head saying that it's going to be a lot more tricky than what they would suggest, because I do feel like it's different to last season by quite a stretch. I don't think we're not blowing teams away. We're just comfortably winning games, but that does mean that teams are very much in the game for the majority of it. And Chelsea will create chances, and with Alisson out, who knows how that'll end up.
Yeah.
Fulham Villa, could easily. I could see that being 0-0. United Brentford, I think United should win that, but we know how that usually ends up.
It could be Eric's last game.
It could, and Brentford are a tricky side when you're in a bit of trouble, I feel.
They know how to set up against big teams. I feel a bit disgusted calling United a big team, but yeah. They'll know what to do. You know what I mean? They'll do. I reckon they'll do a job on old Eric.
Yeah, well, it'll be interesting. I think Old Trafford for me gives United just a slight edge, but I think that could be a goal fest in itself.
Okay.
A goal fest is in, I'd say, 3 goals at least.
All right.
Southampton, Leicester, yeah, that screams 0-0.
So does the Monday night game. Forest Palace.
Does it really does? It really does. And
Honks.
then Wolves City could batter them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Can't really see past it being like a 3 or 4 nil. Well, sorry, 3 or 4-1.
Yeah. True, true, true. Meerkat has just said he thinks Newcastle have been destroyed by injuries. No Botman, no Isak, no Tonali.
Yeah, no, that's a fair shout. It is a fair shout, but um, maybe they just didn't invest quite as much as everyone was expecting, and maybe that's financial issues behind the scenes, as in like fair play and all
Yeah.
that. Yeah, no, I take that point in all fairness, but even so, I think people still expected them to be in and around the running. Um, they might be hampered by injuries, but they should be challenging the likes of Villa.
Yeah.
Villa shouldn't have become that much better than Newcastle. I really don't see injuries being to blame for that. I think if all those players were still fit in that, I think Villa would still be ahead of them.
Yeah. Agreed. Madison or Bowen? They already have Solanke, so who would you pick out of that one?
I think I'll be more clean. If you're really desperate to go for double Spurs, I'd go for Johnson. I think Bowen's a better shout than Madison for longevity.
Okay. Okay. All right, let's move on. Let's take a look at Fantasy Football Hub's predicted points for the next 5 game weeks. Mohamed Salah in second, I nearly said top there. Haaland in first with quite a big margin, to be honest, over the next 5 game weeks as well. Cunha sneaking on the list, and right at the bottom is old Raul Jimenez. Any standout picks for you there, lad, or as kind of expected?
Oh, Eze's quite high up there, my
Oh,
friend.
don't. The Fantasy Football Hub model absolutely loves him. It honestly, it's its love child.
Whatever you say to yourself at night, Tom,
Yeah.
to allow me to have him in my fantasy team. But Foden's an interesting one. Not many people will have him. I think he's very under-owned because there's so much quality for price, and everyone will have, well, the majority of people will still have Salah and Haaland. And then you've got Palmer, who's like, ever since he went on a mad run against Brighton, he's just not looked back, and I don't think many users that could afford him at the time have either. Saka, he's someone that people will spend a lot of their budget on. And so then Foden, who's started the season very slowly with injury, with Pep being reluctant to bring him straight back in, with him only featuring in a certain amount of minutes, it means that he could be a wild card that could explode into life, and only a certain percentage of users will have him to be able to reap the rewards.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And a name that keeps cropping up, right, and has actually gone under the radar is Anthony Gordon. Now, the fixtures for Newcastle are not great over the next few, but do you think maybe he's being overlooked?
Yeah, I mean, he definitely has his opportunities. I think he's proven that he's not an out and out striker in the games I've seen him play whilst Isak's been injured. Because I'll give him his due. Like he gets in the right position. He's really quick. He beats the offside trap, so he gets his chances, and he's had a fair amount of really, really solid opportunities, which he hasn't been able to slot away. And I know he can do it, but maybe he needs his trademark cut inside from the left-hand side to be able to do something like that. Whereas when he's running through the centre, he has spurned a few opportunities that Isak gave back to score. But nonetheless, he's had plenty of chances, which means that surely as a player with the quality of Anthony Gordon, he should be putting a couple of them away. Brighton at home is a game where he will get those chances. So I wouldn't be surprised if he at least has, I would say, 2 golden opportunities, which he should either be slotting away or will prove once again that he isn't quite Isak, and he misses that strike partner, because there's no doubt he deserves to be on the field.
Yeah.
But just whether he's that focal point, well, it's clear that he's not. But he's he's not quite stood up to the occasion and taken Isak's injury. Like whoever it was that mentioned that they've been hampered by injuries. It could have been a completely different story if Gordon had filled those boots perfectly. But like I say, he's got everything about him, just not that finisher's instinct to put the ball in the back of the net.
Yeah, if you had to pick between one of Maddison or Gordon to bring in this week, who would you go for?
Um, I don't. What's Newcastle's run like after this game?
It's pretty honky. Chelsea and Arsenal back to back.
Home in either of them?
Home against Arsenal.
That's the thing. Like you can't forget the fact that Anthony Gordon loves a goal at St James's Park, so that's one thing in his favour. But I think I would be more Maddison there.
Okay, I think I'd agree with
I
that.
do stand by the fact that though I don't think you should be banking on full-on Spurs. Maybe this game week it will pay off, but I think maybe having Gordon, if you've got a Spurs asset already, isn't a bad thing.
Okay. All right, let's move on. Let's move on to our final section for today before we answer some of your guys' questions. Of course, me and Jake absolutely love looking at head-to-head records and how a player has done in certain games. So what I've got is all the players.
Sorry to interrupt you.
Go on.
I tried to subtly pick out a wedgie and just caught myself on the camera. So obviously picking out a wedgie. So I thought I'd just own it.
Yeah. Go for it.
So professional. Did that happen on FPL Therapy as well?
Yeah. I remember Ross just was picking out a wedgie. He just went, oh.
I was like,
yeah, I got to stop at this point. I've just got to stop.
sorry about that.
No worries, mate. But yeah, here is all I would say the top picks for this week, and some players obviously we have been speaking about in today's episode with their head-to-head records against the clubs that they are facing off against this week. Outside of Erling Haaland, nobody has a kind of stellar record against any of the clubs, to be honest. So if you are going with Haaland captain, it does bode well if you do use this as a kind of metric for picking up your captaincy for this week. But any kind of standouts for you there, lad?
Oh, jeez. I didn't realise just how clinical Haaland was against Wolves, to be honest.
He really
I think that's just made my decision for me. Salah's 6 in 10 again, goals and assists, very solid against Chelsea. I do stand by that. That's good. I think he's probably. I'm trying to think back. To be honest, I can't remember. I know he scored. I can think of 3 goals he scored at Anfield. So I'd imagine they're all Anfield goals, which would suggest a good thing. When they've been at Stamford Bridge, I remember last season he got an assist. Can't remember the times before that, but yeah, the 3 goals I believe are a brace at home and Worldie he scored a few years ago.
Yeah.
So that's the only defence I've got for Salah because it's a home game for Liverpool. All 3 goals have been in the home game, so I would back him to score. But Haaland, you just can't look past him. Let me just look down though, just for any consolation. Hey, Watkins against Fulham, not bad.
It's not a bad record. That's 6 in 4, is it?
No, it's not at all. Although this is the best Fulham side I've seen in my life.
Wow.
I mean, I've seen
not the one that won the Europa League or got to the final. What was that?
They got to the final, but I mean, in the league itself,
this
is the best Fulham team that I've seen in the league.
Yeah.
Apologies if I've disrespected Fulham there, but they were brilliant. They were absolutely brilliant in the Europa League. But I feel like sometimes teams can just have a cracking European run, but then in the league not be quite up there because that does take precedent, and understandably so. But here in the league, they of course so many problems with everyone.
Raul's record's not even bad against Villa. 3 and 2.
No, it's not. Yeah.
Some picks we have been talking about today. Obviously, James Maddison. That's a pretty honky record. 2 attacking returns in 8 games. Solanke's isn't much better either, 6 in 2. So maybe the Spurs blank might be on. Early kickoff, maybe Gandhi has his way.
Maybe, but I can't see past Spurs winning that quite comfortably.
No, yeah.
Then again, it's a London derby, and we've seen it before where Spurs have been the better team, and Villa and West Ham somehow get something from it. They seem to be up for the Spurs game more than any other game.
Yeah. Cool. Right, let's answer some of your questions before we finish up. Obviously, if you have enjoyed today's stream, there are plenty more coming throughout the week. There will be a deadline preview on Friday. Then, of course, the deadline stream on Saturday itself from 8 o'clock. So if you do enjoy any of the content that you see, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. All good stuff. Someone said, should I triple captain against Wolves, meaning Haaland? Would you do it? Or would you maybe wait for next week when they've got Southampton?
I think it just depends on your gut because he could score a hat trick in both or he could blank in both. I think that just the fact that he got back-to-back hat tricks just proves that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's up to you. Personally, if it was me, what would I do? I'd wait for Southampton.
Yeah, I think that's probably the advice I'd go for. I'd wait for Southampton, but it is Haaland, and sometimes he can just be one of those broken players and will just absolutely smash it out of the park.
Yeah.
What other questions have we got? Love the stream. Which two to start? Diaz, Rodgers, or DCL?
Diaz and DCL.
Okay, I think I probably could get on board with that. Obviously, if we maybe get a Liverpool leak. When do you play?
Well, I mean, Colombia must have played in the early hours, mustn't they?
Did you play Sunday? Do you play Sunday or do you play Saturday?
Yes, Sunday evening.
So we're not going to get a leak then.
The only thing I would say is I believe Colombia played in the early hours of this morning.
Okay, that might be the one thing that would put me off then.
Let me just have a little look. Yeah, Diaz played 76 minutes. He did score.
Oh, okay. Was that last night or like early hours of this morning?
It was early hours of this morning.
Okay, so he probably should be back in the UK by tomorrow morning then, at the latest. So he should be fine. That's still 2 days of... Well, you don't play on Saturday either, so he's going to probably get 3 days worth of training in.
Oh, no, I take everything back. It was actually 9:30 last night.
Oh, then he'll definitely be already back in the UK then. Yeah, I'd probably say he's going to probably...
Yeah, because that means he played at the exact same time that Gakpo did, and he did nothing, whereas Diaz got a goal.
Yeah. Cool. Higher, would you start Evelinson or Delic, or would you transfer one of them out? If so, who for?
Wow. Well, you could take Delict out for Aït-Nouri if you can.
I would do the striker transfer because Bournemouth's fixtures fall off a cliff.
Well, then there's only one man that can replace Evanilson.
It's not Delap. I'm not going. You can say Delap. You can happily say Delap. I'm going to say Raul Jimenez. That'd be my replacement.
How much is Jimenez?
5.5, 5.6.
Yeah, fair enough. No, I'm not going to argue with that.
I mean Delap's 5.7. So
really.
Yeah.
No, I love this hype about Delap, but I'm not going to deny that Jimenez is in a better team with better form, and he is personally breaking everything at the moment.
True. Seeing as City have projected goals of 2.55, would you say that Bernardo Silva is worth a punt? I would not. Not for me. If I was going to punt on any City attacker this week, it would be Foden. Outside of that, no.
No, I agree.
Which budget strikers will score the most goals the next 5 game weeks? Delap, Wood, Cunha, or Raul? I mean, I feel like our beds are already probably lined, aren't they, really, to be honest, mate?
Cunha. We're both in agreement, yeah?
I probably would say Cunha is going to probably do quite well. But yeah, Raul
I think it'll be interesting. I do think it'll be interesting. I think on paper, Delap has the best fixtures over the next 3. But I think I'd fancy Raul over them.
Okay. Should I stick with Luis Diaz or should I sell if I have 8.1 million to budget? Who would you recommend? Ooh, good
Let me have a look.
I mean,
8.1.
If you haven't got Brian Mbeumo, probably Brian Mbeumo because he's a bit broken at the moment. Is all Bry. I do think Maddison could be a decent short-term replacement. The next 4 for Spurs are pretty decent. Who else have we got?
Anthony Gordon.
Yeah, Jared Bowen, maybe somebody
Johnson.
like that. You could just drop it all the way down to a cheaper midfielder as well, and maybe upgrade to somebody like a Dominic Solanke, or maybe look at other forwards as well.
Smith Rowe.
Yeah, if you want to drop it down that far.
No, got a very, very good run. You are right.
Yeah, it's a really tasty run that for Fulham, isn't it?
Mm. Yeah, no, I like that.
Mm,
Andreas.
very nice.
I'm going deeper. We've got to Jacob Murphy.
All right, I'll stop you there then. Golden Goals in the chat. He says, "Hello there, famous man and Tom." So, yeah,
Hey.
there you go. So yeah.
You
Hey,
must have seen my bloody fucking sash from
hey,
all
hey,
years.
hey, Mr. Liverpool over here. And where was it you came in, Mr. UK? Was it second?
Third, mate. Nah.
Well, we'll say it's second, right?
And
We'll cut that bit out. We'll cut that
I
bit
don't
out.
want to like cause any ruckus, but the rest of the UK weren't involved. It was only England.
Oh, right. Sorry.
I reckon there are a few ginger bonces across the UK that would have beaten me.
Yeah. But if anybody asks, it was definitely second. That I reckon we
Well,
should.
actually, they liked it. They did actually word it as second runner-up.
Right. So I reckon what happened is the mic cut out as they said runner up, so it was just second runner up, like that. So that's fine. So
Oh, could have cut out on second, to be honest.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
either.
Yeah. I think it was first. You were just robbed, weren't you? Really?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I won for the North. No, I didn't. No, second place was from Manchester.
Right.
I won for Liverpool
Yeah.
at the end of the day.
Well done, mate. Well done. You're proud.
Yes, I'd probably take the title for Skegness as well whilst I'm at it.
Yeah. If you want to take that one, like.
Unless you want it.
No, I don't really want it. I'm struggling to win Mr. Mansfield at the moment. To be honest, I've got a full set of teeth, so I'm doing quite well. I'm beating a lot of the other candidates, but it's the bent wonky nose that's really letting me down.
Nah, mate, you gotta have that unique look these days, don't you?
Yeah. Someone's just said as soon as Raul Jimenez starts misfiring, Muniz will be waiting like a hawk.
He's not wrong.
What other questions have we got? Madison, Bowen, Foden, Rashford. One of these will be the biggest differentials coming up. It's probably going to be like Madison or Foden over the other two, I'd say.
You'd have to back Foden, surely.
Yeah, you think with the next two fixtures City have got, if they can pop off and Foden is involved, then it will be tasty.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
I have Salah. Would you switch him for Palmer this week, or would you hold? I'd recommend holding.
I don't want this to be like reminded of me next week when Palmer scores a hat trick. But have you got a brain, mate?
Wow.
You've got to wait till next week. How could you go into this game week and think Salah out for Palmer? I really don't understand that. I'm baffled.
Wow.
Baffled.
Look at the rage you've caused on him here. He's
Yeah,
livid.
that's like I'm sorry, but that's like saying, oh yeah, let's take Son out for Bowen this week. No, wait until next week. Surely you've got to see it happen because that would be a shock if Bowen was the highlight of the weekend and if Palmer was the highlight. I'm not saying it's impossible, but I just really feel like you're going you're going by hoping for luck, hoping for your gut. Not luck necessarily, because if Palmer does do bits, then fair enough, he's clearly deserved it. It won't be down to luck. But I'm saying, like, you're looking at this going, Salah at home to Chelsea, 3 goals at Anfield before against Chelsea, 3 goals and assists in 10 games. Palmer, he's fantastic, but he's away at Anfield. Yeah, let's bring him in.
Yeah, I do think it's a strange one potentially bringing in Palmer.
Hold it a week. See how it goes. The only thing I would say
hold
is, if you're really that desperate for him, go for it. Or alternatively, if you're trying to avoid maybe a price rise, make sure you've got him ready to bring in if he does things. But yeah, I mean, the fact that you've even suggested that would suggest that's something you're going to do anyway. And if it pays off, I hold my hands up. And I definitely, 100%, have bitten a lot more because it's against Liverpool.
Yeah, lad, this guy's got you. Holy nibble. Like, he's absolutely, he's caught you with the rod. It's a little bit of bait, and he's just got it right in there, and he's pulled the big fish out, really.
You know, on that bait, bloody chippy chips.
Yeah, yeah. Golden Goal is in the chat, guys, and if you want to go over to check his channel out as well, he's also approaching 10,000 subscribers, so feel free to go and check out Tom's channel as well. Final question before we finish up. Will there be no double game weeks at all this season? Surely, if there was, using a triple captain on a single game week player is a waste. The problem is we're going to get a lot less this year because FA Cup now has its own separate weeks. It doesn't actually get involved with the Premier League anymore, so there's not going to be any blanks. So obviously, most seasons before, we used to have a big blank in 29 because that was around the quarterfinals. Then after that point, people would just leave. They'd dip. That'd be it. And then they'd obviously have the double game weeks and stuff like that. But this year, it's its own separate entity, so that's not going to be a blank, meaning we're going to have less double game weeks. We've also got the mystery chip coming in January, and that could be something we want to use in a double game week. More than likely, it probably is. So maybe taking a gamble on somebody like a Haaland in an easy fixture with, of course, you know, the triple captain chip could be a worthwhile gamble. The people that did it against Ipswich, Jake, you were one of those, paid off. Pretty tasty. I think Golden Goal did it as well, so, you know, does work out.
It definitely does, but you have to get a bit more lucky. Like there is no doubt that a double game week gives you twice the opportunity. That it speaks for itself really. But yeah, if you pick your game well, then fair play. I think with a triple captain, you kind of have to go with a game which seems pretty darn obvious. Which is what I did. But it's the first time it's worked. Last season, triple captain Solanke. Bournemouth were on a great run. I think they played Luton and someone else. And he got a goal, fair enough, but he also missed a penalty. So, I mean, I think it does just come down to it. And I mean, nothing will beat the Emmanuel Dennis.
Oh, yeah.
Triple captain, which a lot of people did because he was on absolute fire for Watford when they were scoring for fun. And then he had sent off in the first game. It really does. Like I get why you'd say it's a waste, but I don't think it's necessary. It's only a waste if it doesn't work out.
Yeah.
So you've just got to, if you want to bank it and hold it in case there is a double game week, because maybe there will be, considering City should get quite far, let's say, in the Champions League and the Cups. There's no doubt if they get into every final or head that way, there is a very good chance something will have to give way for it. Do them and Chelsea, are they in the Club World Cup as well?
Yeah, but I think that's in the summer. So I think
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think if you want to bank it, then fair enough. I've done that plenty of times before, but it has come to no avail, and that's just been because I've waited for that double, and then I think you might have done it last season with Haaland, and he only scored once.
Yeah, I don't think he did that well, to be honest.
Yeah,
so.
he did enough, but he didn't do more than when you could have chosen a game week where he would have got a hat trick or someone else would have done so. Yeah, you've just got to go by it, whether that's what your game plan is. If your game plan is to hold it, then it might pay off, but then you might be minimising your chances because you may only have one double game week to choose it in.
Agreed. While all that was going off, we had a donation from Yusuf. Thank you very much for the donation.
Cheers, Yusuf.
I appreciate that one, mate. And Golden has also put the FA Cup semi-finals and Carabao Cup final will cause a blank. So obviously, if there's Premier League teams in that, then that's where we'll get our double game weeks from. But...
Yes, well, I mean, it's inevitable that Ipswich are going to get to those finals. So a double game week for Liam Delap is on the cards.
Hey, lad, if Liam Delap gets a double game week, I think something's got to be used on him.
Oh, yeah. Transfer out.
Right, that is going to call it for today's stream. It's been great. It's been really good being back with you, lad. I've enjoyed it. You know what I mean? It's been better than the one I did on Monday. That was overrated.
Right? Yeah, well, we just need to get that bloody bastard roommate of yours out of your videos on your other channel.
Yeah.
Me in one.
Hey, lad, don't worry. There'll be plenty of time for you to appear on that second channel. Don't you worry about that.
I'm sure there's space for both of us, to be fair.
Well, I kind of only like to have one other person on there. I don't want it to get crowded. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, me and Sean can take over the stream one day.
You lads go for it. If I'm ill one day, I'll be on the bed and you lads can just crack on. Really.
Like those TikToks where you're just asleep.
Yeah, exactly. that'll be how it's done. Right, thank you very much, guys, for all your love and support as always. We are on that road to 10,000, so if you do enjoy any of the content, subscribe, like, all that good stuff. I'll see you in the next live stream on Friday. But thank you from me. Any final thoughts from you, Jake?
Nope. See you next week, guys.
See you next week.